The mighty New Zealand Kiwis. Miles, your pick for the World Cup Championship. Mate, why are you so confident about this team?
Mate, I just think that they're a bit underrated in terms of who they've got on the side, it's great. It's a really good mix of experience and young talent coming through. And I just love the thought of Joey Manu playing fullback. Like, you see him every time he gets the chance for the Roosters and he absolutely kills it. So I can see them going all the way. And that halves pairing as well, absolutely lethal. I think it's the best in the competition. And that's bold of me to say that.
Yeah, mate, the Chookies really missed him, I've got to say, down the stretch there against South. So let's jump right into that team list. You mentioned Joey Manu at fullback. If you were choosing a fullback from every team in the World Cup, where does Joey Manu rank on that list for you?
He's number 2 for me, just behind his clubmate, James Tedesco. It's so funny that I think Joey, if he was playing at any other club, he'd easily be the fullback, especially at some of those clubs that are struggling. But he loves the Roosters, and the Roosters love him, so he's quite happy to just stay there and obviously take a bit of a pay cut to play. But we won't go into the Roosters' salary cap. But I would take him at the Cowboys in a heartbeat. And Scott Drinkwater had an awesome year this year, and I think that tells you exactly what I'm thinking. As far as it comes to Joey Manu, he's an absolute weapon.
Yeah, he's on another level. If you look at the Roosters too, you got Suwali there as well. So 3 of the World Cup fullbacks are actually coming from the Chooks, which is actually, if Kevin Nagama plays fullback, that'd be 4. So yeah, they've got a lot of fullbacks.
Are we going to count Kevin? I mean, he played half the season for the Bears, but...
I'm counting Kevin. I mean, I started this year in Supercoach with him, and he had that Roosters jersey on, so yeah, I'm backing him.
Okay.
But I mean, looking at this halves pairing, I agree with you. It's certain. It's certain. So I would take the Australian halves pairing over the Kiwi halves pairing, but this is a certain halves pairing. Like, they know who's going in, who's going to play. Cleary and Munster are crazy good, but these two, Jahrome Hughes and Dylan Brown, are probably 2 of the best ball running halves in the World Cup. They're probably 2 of the best defensive halves in the World Cup. And when you look at these back rowers in particular, Isaiah Papali'i, Kenny Bromwich, the offloads that are going to come from the middle there too, they're probably the best halves for the Kiwis, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This team is a run and bash 'em kind of team. They've got such power through those middle forwards and edge players. It's easily the second best roster in this World Cup. I think that if you look at the Australian roster, you'd easily think that, oh yeah, they deserve to be favourites. But I think New Zealand like that. I think New Zealand like being, underrated. They like going in, not the favourites. They've stolen it from the Australian team before, and we all remember that. But I just think this team is young and on the rise. I mean, Dylan Brown really came out of his shell this year, and Jahrome Hughes, as a former fullback turned halfback, he's done an amazing job for the Storm. And I think their bench and experienced guys can't go unnoticed as well. I think Jared Hargraves and Jesse Bromwich provide a lot in the front row. You think exactly the same? Or I know you had a quick photo with Jared Hargraves not long ago, didn't you? Did you ask him?
I didn't talk to him about this. I was chatting about the Roosters, but no, great guy. Really, really friendly guy. One of those guys who's a savage on the field and super friendly off it, which I think a lot of the guys are. But it's an experienced front row there. Jesse Bromwich, Jared Hargraves off the bench. Even James Fisher-Harris, really experienced guy as well. Martin Niokore comes to the bench. Sofa Solomona, Brandon Smith, they've sort of done it for a while too. They're an experienced pack. What I think is interesting is this Best 17 lists Jeremy Marshall-King as the starter over Brandon Smith. I don't mind that if you're not going to play Smith for 80 minutes. So do you think in this situation you'd go Jeremy Marshall-King 30 minutes, Brandon Smith 50 minutes, something like that? Just give him the license to make 10, 15 runs in his 50 minutes?
Yeah, look, as 2 guys who aren't 80-minute hookers, it's it's a lot to ask them to play 80 minutes. And I can understand why they would have both of them in the side. I would go Brandon Smith, though, over Jeremy Marshall-King. He had a great year, JMK. Like, I think he held that Bulldogs spine together down the stretch and actually ended up winning the Dogs Players Player of the Year. So
rightfully
that
so.
says a lot.
He was awesome
about Jeremy Marshall-King and the way he has kind of broken out of that sort of stigma of not being the guy who could take it to the next level. And I'm really interested to see what he does with the Dolphins next year. But starting for New Zealand, probably not the move I would have made. But I think Michael Maguire's obviously got a bit of a plan, and I think he's also got a point to prove. So being sacked by the Tigers this year, it's got to hurt, and I think he'll want to make amends for that and also prove that he's a good coach. So, I mean, I backed him all the way. I thought he was good for the Tigers, and I know you're a bit of a fan of him too, aren't you?
He can get it done. He can get it done when he's got an experienced roster, and he's got some guys that he can lean on the field. He can lead them to success. Where he wasn't that strong was rebuilding a club, but it's a tough skill. You know, as a Parramatta fan, I see Brad Arthur rebuilding the team, and there are questions about him in sort of the late stage games. Whereas Michael Maguire, I think he's the opposite kind of coach. So if the Kiwis get to the finals, which they should, I'm backing them to be well coached. I do have questions, though. I mean, I look at this team and there are some big highlights there. The centre pairing is really good, but also not that good when you look at the Australian centre pairing. So Peter Hiku, insane year this year. Started on fire. I love Peter Hiku. He's one of my favourite players. Yeah, you know, you're a big Cowboys fan too, but like if you put him against a Latrell, you know, how does he stack up? Jordan Rapana in the same vein, again, really good player, plays so hard, absolute wild card, could get himself sent off, could be the best player on the field any given game. Those two guys they're experienced guys, and I think they'll G up, but when you come against Australia, I think we're going to be able to exploit those matchups on the edge.
Yeah, Australia are tough. Tried, hardened, especially on those edges with guys like Valentine Holmes and Latrell, who are looking to play those centre positions. But I think Hiku matches up really well defensively with both of those guys. My question would be around Rapana. Doesn't play a lot of centre, so I'm surprised to see him put there at centre in their best 17. I would have had maybe a chance Nickel-Klokstad. I know he didn't play a lot of NRL this year, but he's always not been a fullback to me, and I know you agree with this. He's got that real stocky body where he's not that quick that you think he'd be a good centre. I just think, they're going to lack a little bit of polish, but this is their state of origin for them. They didn't have to play it during the year. They should be fresh. They love playing for their country, and they're going to go out there and give it a whirl, and I expect to see them in the final.
Yep, I completely agree. I mean, look, who have they got? They've got Lebanon, Jamaica, Ireland. Are you saying clean sweep? Are you saying, does anyone get close in your eyes?
I think it'll be a clean sweep, 13 plus each game.
Only 13.
Yeah, well, that's where the market goes. I'm going with the market.
I'm going to say a bit of a bold prediction, and we're going to go into Lebanon next video.
Oh, wow. Yep.
I'm going to say Lebanon are leading at halftime in this first game. I don't think they can get it done down the stretch, but I think Lebanon's going to G up. I really like their roster. I'm going to say Lebanon leading at halftime. Kiwis to get home. A couple of consolation tries might blow it out, but really watch for Lebanon to shake them up. Then they should blow out Jamaica and Ireland. They should go. They'll go through. I think they'll be in the final, but I just think Lebanon's got something to prove.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lebanon are going to be well coached and do have some real star player talent in that team. So it'll be an interesting game. But yeah, I agree. I think New Zealand will get them. Do you have an X factor player for New Zealand?
I mean,
they're going to go all the way.
It's more of a next narrative, right? So if the Kiwis are to win the World Cup, which is well within the realm of possibility, I see it being a game of trick plays and a game of really creative football that we haven't seen before. So Michael Maguire, just finding ways to get Joey Manu involved in scoring tries in unorthodox ways. getting, you know, a Ronaldo Mortalo, so swinging across the opposite side of the field, running off, say, a Dylan Brown, for example. Dylan Brown and Jahrome Hughes linking up quite a bit, a very high offload count for this team. And some of those sort of tricky, you know, Kiwi rugby kind of plays where, you know, especially in the Kiwi touch, where you're talking about those like mousetrap plays. And I just think it's got to be a bit unorthodox, because on talent alone, just on pure roster equation, this team doesn't beat Australia. But if you bring a level of intensity through the forwards and you bring some creative plays through the backs and just use some of the intelligence they have in this backline in particular, I could see them getting it done, but it's going to be unorthodox. How about you? Have you got an X Factor pick for this team?
Yeah, mine is the guy who carried the Canberra Raiders into the finals this year, Joey Tarpany. I mean, back to lock there in the middle. Yeah, I can't really, you know, they've got such a really good collective of forwards that you can't even put him into his Canberra position, which is front row. But at lock, he'll do a very similar job, and he loves an offload and is an absolute spark plug when he gets a sniff of an opportunity. So you don't wrap up the ball, he's going to get it to his playmakers for that second phase play, and I think that's going to be really key to them going all the way.
Was there a better forward than Tarpany this year?
Top of my head,
I don't think so.
I think he was easily the best prop. You'd have to say that Sean Lane was very, very good for Parramatta, but other than that, you know, you get the. I think maybe it's because of we didn't expect this from him, that a lot of people are geeing him up so much. Like, oh, we didn't expect that from Tarpany, because he finally got the minutes he deserved. There was a big hullabaloo last year about his minutes, and I think his
the misso
girlfriend
on. Yeah, she was on Twitter complaining to Ricky, and he cut the minutes even further after that. So don't complain.
It's definitely times like that where I think that Ricky just doesn't know what he's doing half the time, because you got one of the guys who's one of your best players, and he signed on now for an extra couple of years. He extended with them, and it was all back on the back of him playing really well this year and getting basically his just dues. So anyway, you think they'll come second, don't you? New Zealand?
Yeah, I think they'll come second. I'm trying to think of ways that Tonga could put up a good fight against this team. I mean, look, Tamalolo will be back. They're classy. They're classy through the spine. I just can't argue with the fact Dylan Brown, Jahrome Hughes, and Joey Manu are arguably the most potent 1, 6, and 7 in the competition. I say potent because I think Cleary runs a game and kicks better than any of these guys. But in terms of pure potent footballer, you know, ball in hand ability, they're just freaks, the three of them. Like, it's going to be tough for anyone to match up. And I think so. Brendan Smith. If you rest for a second around the ruck, Brendan Smith just goes through. Like, especially off the bench. I love too that there's a bit of a flavour of Dolphins in this team as well. So you've got that Jeremy Marshall-King, Jesse Bromwich, you know, Kenny Bromwich. They're all heading across. Yeah, it'll be cool to sort of see those boys getting together as well. Just hopefully bringing some good form into the Dolphins next year, because I want them to do well too.
I think we all do. So hopefully they get it done.
So you've got this team winning the comp. How does it happen? How do they beat Australia? What's that final look like?
I think New Zealand are going to have to force errors from Australia. They can't sit back and wait for Australia to come to them. They got to take the fight straight to them. And you guys like Jared Hargraves and Fisher Harris are going to be great for that. Tarpany is going to be always up for it, and I just think they're going to need a bit of luck as well. Australia are too good for you to just blow them off the park. It'll be close, and I think their flair and their running game will get them over the line in the end, especially if Australia make a couple of key selection mistakes, which I think they might do. That's the only reason I'm tipping them, because I think Australia will pick a team that's safe not a team to win. Whereas I think this team, Maguire's always looking to win.
Okay, we heard it here first. We've got one pick for Kiwis to lose in the grand final, one pick for Kiwis to go all the way. So look, keen as to see them play Lebanon, fully prepared for them to win 60-0 and make me look silly, but I think Lebanon will put on a show. So it's going to be interesting to watch.